Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn. And it's finally wintertime. We've got a relatively fresh 6 to 8 inches of snow. So the Terra part of my work is done for the year, and the timber part of my channel is beginning, which means logging. But to make that happen, we need chains, otherwise I'm dead in the woods, or dead in the field, or dead anywhere I go. So let's put these chains on. Well, we are in the woods. It is nice looking here. There's snow all over the place. I did end up putting my front chains on. Glad I did, because after I did that, before we came out here, when I had my bucket on, I went through all my woods roads and just sort of laid the bucket down, tilted back, and floated it. And that's to compress the snow, what we call freezing the roads. That particularly with this real fluffy snow, it is a very good insulator. So the ground does not freeze very well, very quickly with that sort of powdery surface. So I ran across the road, sort of compressed all the air out of the snow, and that should allow the ground to freeze more easily. So I'm back here. These were some blowdowns. I did cut them to length. There's one in here. A smaller one. What I really want to get to is why I need my winch on the tractor is this leaner, one that sort of blew down into another tree. And I also have a couple logs here. I think these are two 16-footers that I've limbed, cut to length. I just have to drag them out. So this tree that we just dragged down from this leaner that was up there, I had to cut quite a bit off the bottom. You can see some areas here. A little bit of raw, but I think it was more some sort of a scar. It might have been another tree that slid down. It might have been a lightning strike, although I don't think so. And then I had, some areas of punkiness. So finally I cleared it up here enough. There might be just a little bit of punkiness in the center. So that's a 16-foot 6 log. I was only able to get one of them. If I was able to use the entire length all the way down to the butt, I would have been able to get 2 logs. These will be for sale. I'll explain to you in a bit a continuation of my own project, which involves pasture spruce. But these logs that I'm gathering now are blowdowns. I'm gonna just sell to a sawmill. They'll accept down to a 5-inch diameter on a 16-foot log. So that's what I do when I have the opportunity. So let's chain this one up. There's a separate one there. It's cut, although it's sort of looks all one log, but it's not. I'll try to find where the cut is there. Drag all these 3 out at the same time, and then pick up that other one, which is just around the corner there that you saw me push off to the side. So there's 4 logs there. They're all for sale logs. I'm gonna have several of those this winter. So I'm just sort of stockpiling them here. I will likely pick them up with my forwarding trailer or log loading trailer. But now I want to start working on the pasture spruce. We'll get back into the woods, or just barely into the woods, and I'll review that. I started harvesting pasture spruce in the spring. I have a playlist. There might have been 3, maybe 4 videos on that. So pasture spruce are spruce that grow out in the open. They're in the woods here only because most of the stuff grew up around it afterwards. And the issue with it, pasture spruce is a log that most mills will not accept. This one might be borderline, but you can see a lot of large diameter branches all over the place. And in lumber form, what that does is those big knots are weak spots. Actually, I think generally in lumber, small knots actually increase the strength, or at least they don't inhibit it any. Here's another example. But these large diameter knots, and so many of them, this one has some cankers too, really impact the strength, and it really can't be sold for structural lumber. So sawmills won't accept this. But I'm going to use this for my own project. I'm going to have it sawn into larger diameter. I think most of it's going to be 3x7, full diameter, 3-inch thick, 7 inches deep for floor joists. But I can pick and choose, how to orient the knots, if there are any, to minimize the impact on strength, and I'll just cull logs that really can't be used. But I think I'll be fine. So I started that in the spring, but the weather warmed up too quickly, or I wasn't quick enough, one of the two. So I wasn't able to get what I needed. I need, I think, 2,000 board feet of 16-footers. And I'm really just maybe 1 log shy of that. And I need a bunch more 10-footers. So there's 2 here I think I want to get out. As you can see here, the road is still muddy. Ideally, I'd like this to freeze up before I drag too much out. But this is what I mean by freezing it in. You've exposed the water, the mud, reduced the insulation from the fluffy snow, and this will freeze up providing we get cold weather. So this one here you can see is just on the edge of the field, right around the corner of the field that we just were at. The challenge here is, with these big, sort of big crowns, these pasture spruce, is when you fell them, the branches are big enough where they can cause a lot more collateral damage than, say, a typical fir, which doesn't have much in the way of branches, say that tree right there. And the ones that it does have are small and they just break off as it falls. So here, for instance, I want to save the cedar. In fact, this area of my stand, cedar is one of the species to manage for, meaning reduce its competition. So I want to save that. This is a fir tree. I don't care about that. This looks like a misshapen black cherry, and I don't care much about that. So even though I don't really like to because it causes a lot of cleanup, I think I'm going to fell this one into the road because that's the biggest open space. But I'm going to have to take down whatever that is. It might be more cherry. That looks like a spruce. This fir, that cherry. So clean this stuff up, and then I should have relatively free rein for this to fall towards the sun. that did not go exactly as planned. I'm thinking that other fir, which I sort of left in there, actually was hanging it up. I mean, the hinge might have been a little bit wider. It's like 2 inches. I probably should have cut that a bit thinner. But I wanted it to go where the fir went. Instead, it went in the road, which is fine. So I'm guessing this sort of fir redirected it that way after it started falling. As you saw in the whiteout, you really couldn't see exactly what's happening. But the issue is that cedar I was sort of trying to save, it still may survive. It has, you know, towards the top it has some branches, but it really stripped all the branches probably 2/3 of the way up. All right, well, this is the fun part, trimming all those branches. That'll just cut up, that'll be junk. The cherry that I cut earlier that's on the bottom there, that'll be firewood. I cut that into 16-foot even. These, to give a little bit of trim for the lumber, I cut 16.5. I'll do one log of 16-footer and everything else will be 10-footers until I get the board footage of 10-foot logs that I need. Well, it's a lot more open. Log looks a lot better without the branches there, but boy, I have a lot of cleaning up to do now to get my road clean again. So this will be a decent log, I think. It is a little punky here, so I'm gonna, as opposed to that. So I'm gonna cut this back a couple feet, see if I can't get rid of most of that. So like with a lot of the pasture spruce, you can see the wide growth rings, how fast it was growing in its early years. And then you can see here, I'm guessing it's because it had competition around it. Some of the fir, the cherry, started slowing down, or it just could have been old age. I think this is a white spruce. I think white spruce might not be quite as long-lived as red spruce. And white spruce is generally more susceptible to becoming these sort of pasture spruce with the really big limbs. So I'm going to cut this back, see where I can get some decent sound wood, and then measure out some logs. So I was able to get that rot to clean up finally. That's pretty sound on the end there. But I probably cut off better than 4 feet, or about 4 feet. Actually more, because there's one over there. Yeah, probably 4 to 6 feet I had to cut off the bottom, but I still was able to get a good 16-footer and a 10-footer at the end, and that worked out well. Well, that's a good start to logging. I'm going to end this video here. I'm not going to do anything else more today. I have some snowmobiles to get going. So this is the pile of 16-foot logs. This one will finish that. Get a measurement on that. It's probably 9 inches. And that's the small pile of 10-foot logs that I will be adding to here in the near future. So I appreciate you sticking around for this beginning of a logging season. I hope you stay tuned for more videos just like this in the future. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.